Good morning, Mount Vernon. Today is December 26, 2024. Welcome to the special meeting of the City Council of the City of Mount Vernon. Just for a few housekeeping rules, we have an emergency exit in the rear of the room. Just beyond that is an emergency staircase outside. We have an exit to the front of the room here, and just beyond that is the ladies' room. Down the hallway in front of planning, we have an AED machine, which is an artificial defibrillator just in case of emergency. Just beyond that, there is the men's room and the rotunda stairs. I would ask that everybody please silence your phones. If you need to take a phone call, please remove yourself from council chambers. We'll start the meeting off with our Councilman Boxill for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. DC Bonilla, can you do the call of the meeting, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Council President. This is a City Council special meeting scheduled today, Thursday, December 26th at 9 a.m. in the City Council chambers for the purpose of the 2025 proposed City of Mount Vernon annual estimate and any other such business. This was noticed to the Journal News on December 24th. It was also blasted on the social media platforms and email correspondence and placed in the rotunda and on the city website.
Thank you so much. Roll call.
Councilman Boxill?
Present.
Councilwoman Brown?
Here and remote.
Thank you. Councilman Potteet? Absent. Councilman Thompson?
Here.
Council President Gleason?
Here, I also would like to thank Councilwoman Brown. She was not supposed to be here for this meeting, and she made every effort to help us have a quorum and a fourth vote. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We are going to go over to finance and planning.
All right. The first item on the agenda is from the Office of the Mayor, an ordinance authorizing the adoption of the revised American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, budget for fiscal year 2024. So moved.
Second.
On the question? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilman Boxill?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brown?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilman Thompson?
Aye.
Council President Gleason?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Number two, and it's coming from the City Council, an ordinance adopting the 2025 annual estimate for the City of Mount Vernon. So moved.
Second.
On the question?
So
I'd just like to say that obviously, I mean, as homeowners, we don't want to see any increase in our taxes. But I think as a council, we've done our due diligence to try to reduce it as much as possible this year. And next year, we're going to work even harder, working with economic development to make sure that, or to try to come under the tax cap for next year. Developments that's going to bring money to the city, and development that's not going to necessarily require us to subsidize them. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilwoman Brown?
Council President, could you read off the amendments that were made to the budget?
Yes. Do we have the amendments? Okay. Assistant Comptroller, do you have the amendments? We don't have those here. Can you please? Thank you. We'll have them in just a minute. Councilwoman Brown, Councilman Thompson, would you like to speak?
Yes, while we're waiting, as we continue to explore different options to ensure that we don't encounter tax increases, we have spoken about some different options going forward. And as we move along, hopefully we can get these things in place. So, because we already know that it's always a burden to our homeowners because we don't have any other revenue generating businesses that would take over those costs. So hopefully going forward, as we continue to move forward, we'll see those businesses coming in, those different options we can utilize to ensure that we do the best we can by our homeowners. That's all.
Councilman,
That
while
happened
we-
to- Councilman Brown, go ahead.
Yeah, so while we wait for the assistant comptroller, a few things, right? I think it's important to point out that the new tax rate is 3.6. I also think it's important to talk about just our budget process per the charter, right? I believe people think that there's a lot more flexibility in what council can do and the removal of positions and those types of things. But the charter is silent on a lot. Right. For example, if this budget was voted down, what exactly is supposed to happen? So I really hope that the Charter Review Commission takes time to review that process and amend that process to reflect what expectations are of City Council. As it's written right now, it says that we shall either adopt the said budget that came from the Board of Estimates or diminish certain expenditures. And there are things that we cannot touch, right? So part of this process, as Councilman Boxell said, was trying to figure out what expense lines we can cut without halting the operations of the city. And we do have a generally lean budget, but council president and council members were able to find some things that can be reduced. While it wasn't a significant cut, it is a cut. And also, through this process, had the opportunity to negotiate with the mayor to address some of our economic development needs, right? So there is going to be, once the budget is adopted, there's going to be removal of positions, 2 positions specifically, and then a development of a director of economic development to assist with that economic development that we need, and also a contractor who will assist us with optimally monetizing Memorial Field and utilizing it to the city's best interest so that they can meet some of their revenue goals, right? So I think those things are important to mention. Also, the IDA is going to fund a position to support the current the current business director. So I think that is also going to help. And we also talked about getting an ordinance officer from whatever savings that we have in the budget in the second half of the year or the second quarter of the year. And that will help with some of our enforcement issues, right? Another thing that we talked about is moving that FOIL officer from the law department to the clerk's office. So those are some things that I'm excited to see, and I think will help the city, will help with enforcement, will help with economic development. I think from our standpoint, it's really about developing those KPIs and what we actually want to see from the economic development staff that comes in, so that we have clear goals, that everyone's on the same page, and we're actually addressing it as opposed to just filling a position, right? So I think it's important for us to kind of hone in on those things. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Brown. I agree with all the council members. I feel, this year, I think the administration did try to lower the budget as much as they could. But it took an awful lot of time to get there. We can't do that again. We have to be more diligent to stick to the schedule because, as you could see, we were working all weekend last weekend to lower the budget from the 3.79. We were able to get it down. 3.79 was it? 3.79 or 3.76? Well, we got it down to 3.6, which was a great effort on council's part. Of course, we don't want a stoppage of government, but I think this is a very realistic budget. I've spoken to the mayor to keep everybody in her administration, sticking to the budget. I think that is very important. We definitely have to work on overtime with the fire department, and I think with new hires, we'll be able to do so. And we're just waiting right now just for the adjustments from the comptroller's office, the adjustments that city council made. But again, a key to this city operating properly is economic development. We can't keep going on the backs of taxpayers, increasing the tax base. We have to get alternative revenue to offset that. Also, I think a very big part of this is the ordinance officer, parking enforcement. We just have to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So with that being said, we're just gonna pause for a few minutes until the assistant comptroller comes up with the edits to the budget. Okay, we're back, Mount Vernon. I've invited the assistant comptroller up to speak on the edits to the budget.
Good morning. I'm Condell Hamilton, Assistant Comptroller. During this process over the last few days, we made some changes to the appropriations and some reduction in some office expense lines and some small other items. We moved some funding, centralized a few operations such as our heat and fuel. We centralized that all into DPW instead of having some in the police, some in fire. We made it all centralized to DPW since they are responsible for our vehicle fleet and for our city-owned buildings. It made sense that all heating, oil, fuel sits with them. And so that was able to find us some savings within the budget. We work with the council on reducing some other lines and tightening up expenditures in other areas. So that way we were able to come up with somewhat of a reduction in the tax rate.
Okay, we want to go down this line by line, or?
It's up to you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's a good idea. You wanna
Oh,
start?
I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, you
I
don't
gave
have a
you my
of
copy.
it.
Did we add printed paper in the budget?
No. All right, so one of the things we did was we reduced the travel expense and membership and dues line in the clerk's office. And so that was a savings of about 7,500. So I'm trying to just point out the bigger ones. We reduced the DPW engineering outside contracting line by 100,000 and actually reallocated that to the building department for their plan examiners, which was going to be outsourced through a consultant. See what other big items we have. The tax liens. Yeah. We didn't reduce that line. And so we reduced the DPW materials line from 25,000 to 15,000. Because as they're getting more grant funding, some of those expenses can be moved to the grants instead of being a part of our operating budget. And all the other ones are pretty small. It's $1,000 in building department for their travel and membership. $2,000 in the fire department for office supplies. And 5,000 in parking for their maintenance to parking garages, because we know that's going to be a part of the capital plan, and we have some grants on the table to take care of some of that work.
All right, thank you very much. Does any council member have any further questions for the Assistant Comptroller? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Roll call.
Councilman Boxell,
Aye.
Councilwoman Brown,
Aye.
Councilman Thompson,
Aye.
Council President Gleason.
Aye. With that being said, again, I just want to thank Councilwoman Brown. We really appreciate it after last minute, Councilman Potteet could not make it to the meeting today. I will entertain a motion to adjourn, or unless anybody has anything further to say.
I just want to thank the controller's office for being very flexible and being accessible, and I mean, at all hours to really crunch numbers and go through this line by line with us. So thank you for that.
Councilwoman Brown?
I move to adjourn this meeting.
Nick, anybody else?
I'd just like to say to all of our residents, have a great rest of your holiday and Happy New Year. And I move that we adjourn this meeting. So move.
So you're seconding? Councilwoman Brown moved, so Thompson is seconding.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Boxell,
Aye.
Councilwoman Brown,
Aye.
Councilman Thompson,
Aye.
Council President Gleason.
Aye, and I just want to wish the city of Mount Vernon a very happy new year. We've had a very challenging year this year, but it was a good year. I think we did a lot of great work this year. So our incoming council president will be Danielle Brown. And I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. Thank you so much. We are adjourned.